Looks like Trump has a pen and a phone, too. Remember back in the day with Obama? I'm going to pen and a phone. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm not going to wait around for other people to act. I'm going to do it. I'm going to use it. A pen and a phone. Congress is going to obstruct. Not going to let them obstruct. Okay. You remember that. Obama administration. This is very clear. And all the liberal media outlets then, of course, are saying different things now because Trump is president, and we can expect that there are a bunch of frauds with no principles. But let's dig into this together a little bit, my friends, shall we? Let's do that. Trump signed some executive orders over the weekend, 4 to be exact. Now I'll first, before I go into the details, and tell you that the Democrats are mostly upset about this because Trump got out of the full Nelson they were trying to put him in. Good for him. All right, what Pelosi was doing, this was the equivalent. I have so much to say on this one. I'm jumping around a lot. Well, we'll start with the Democrat outrage, and then I'll work you through what really happened. Right? What really happened? You've got Chuck Schumer, who the more, this is a good rule of thumb, the more upset Chuck Schumer is about any executive action, the more likely it is to be both effective and good for the American people. When Schumer's really angry, something good has usually happened. That's a rule of thumb. When Nancy Pelosi goes to like her seventh glass of Chardonnay, then things are really good. You know, I just don't even know what's going on. So here's what they're saying about this. Schumer is first and foremost furious. Play clip 6.
What can the United States Senate do? What can the United States House do to make sure that the president doesn't undermine the election?
The president he's wanted to destroy the post office. He gets these little bugs in his head that have nothing to do with reality. No one tells him the truth, and then he tries to go forward. So he's wanted to hurt the post office, maybe even destroy it, end it for a long time. Now we have the COVID crisis, and like everywhere else, some postal workers have COVID. And instead of beefing up the number of people at the post office, the new postmaster general, who has no experience in postal and who is a big contributor to Trump, I called him, by the way, 3 times because I wanted to talk to him about what he was doing. He would not call me back. Finally, Pelosi and I said, we're not going to negotiate on this unless we meet with him. That's what I said to them. We met with him. The meeting was a disgrace. He is so far over his head.
So that was actually about election security. I called for the wrong clip. That's on me. But I can deal with that for a second, too. Here's the reality, folks. Post office isn't up for universal mail-in balloting. The fact that Democrats are even calling for universal mail-in balloting is crazy. But they know that that's heads they win, tails they win. Right? Tails you lose. Fool me once, can't get fooled again. It's very obvious that if it happens and it benefits them, great. If they got universal mail-in balloting and it went against them, they would just claim that that's why they lost the election. So this is why they want these massive changes. But let's go back to the executive orders, which is what I meant to focus on here. But like I said, we my friends, we're a very nimble show. We cover a wide variety of topics. Schumer saying that Trump has little bugs in his head that have nothing to do with reality. Again, Republicans are the ones disconnected from reality, whether it's Cory Booker saying that about Trump or Schumer saying that about Trump. Meanwhile, what are Democrats? Oh, that's right. They don't want schools to open because why? It's not science, we know. Oh, but they had to walk that one back a little bit. They want enormous bailout money for state and local governments in Democrat strongholds that have spent too much money. Oh, so they're going to hold all unemployment benefits hostage. Yeah, we see who's... Oh, and they've got nothing to say about the rioting, the looting, the protesting, the violence of the BLM movement, which is a disgrace. So they want to talk about reality, but they don't actually live in it. But here's on the executive order point what Schumer says about at least one of them. Play 7.
Well, he just makes things up. Donald Trump is the fables president. He just makes things up as they go. And what you saw Kudlow say, which would be laughable if it weren't so sad, $600, $400, $300, $800. He had no idea. He's ready to go on a show before the American people and had no idea what the actual executive order said. And it's a metaphor. The towering and destructive incompetence of this administration is why the coronavirus is raging here, where in many other European countries, most other Asian countries, they've gotten a handle on it. Trump has never believed things are on the level.
It's all the same thing from Schumer every day. Never has anything interesting or worthwhile to say. It's all Trump is horrible. He's the worst. The administration is bad at everything. Let's look at what the actual executive orders were, shall we? Let's take a moment. Oh, because they're saying that they're not even that they don't think that they're legal. They're wrong. So there's that. And they can try to fight. There's only one executive order where there may be some legal case against it, and Trump is daring Democrats, daring them to take the position that they want to fight that in court. Here's Nancy Pelosi. Play 10.
Well, the fact is that whether they're legal or not takes time to figure out. I associate myself remarks with Senator Sass, who says they're unconstitutional slop.
But will you still?
I think that's well. Right now, we want to address the needs of the American people.
Yeah, Ben Sass. You wanted Trump's help to win your primary, and now you're taking shots at Trump. I've always just thought Ben Sass was he's just out for Ben Sass. I'll be polite and just put it that way. A lot of other things one could say. I'll just put it that way. Never found the guy. He's always there when the libs need someone on the right to say something unhelpful for conservatism. But he's so principled. Yeah, so principled. Like Amash, right? The other guy. He was so principled for a while as a libertarian until he realized he's just a leftist. A leftist who wants people to like him more. Look, the desire to be liked is one of the most powerful things that the libs have at their disposal. If you want to be liked in American society by institutions, by corporations, the media, academia, Hollywood, professional athletics, just be a lib. So much easier. Oh, my gosh. I always talk to friends. I'm like, you imagine if I just turned around and I was like, yeah, actually, I'm going to move to Brooklyn and I'm a big lib now. Ha ha, I hate conservatism. Oh, my gosh. So many more job opportunities, make so much more money, be so much easier. I could say the dumbest crap possible. Just go on TV every day. Trump is basically Hitler and he's just like the worst. And I used to be a Trump supporter and I'm going to be a part of the Lincoln Project now. It'd be a great career move. In fact, the people who were running around with the Russia collusion absurdity for years, none of them have been held to account. They've all got more followers, making more money, got book deals and everything. This is a career win for them. Never misunderstand that. Don't misunderestimate. Never misunderstand. I don't know why Bush is making appearances today on the show. Never misunderstand what happened there. It was a career enhancing for people to be such anti-Trump lunatics, and that's true. That's been true across the board as long as they switched over to be anti-Trump. So here's what the executive orders do. And let's start with this premise. The Democrats were holding hostages, and Trump was like, not going to play this game. We're going to do something else. So what did he do? Well, the Democrats wanted $800 billion in aid to the states, an extension of $600 a week jobless insurance into 2021, and they also would not move at all when it came to liability protection for businesses on COVID-19. And then they wanted a whole bunch of election stuff. So it's like they want all these things, and then they want all this wish list stuff that has nothing to do with the core issue of making sure people have enough money to feed themselves and keep going while the economy continues to be shut down. This was hostage taking. Why do you never negotiate with terrorists? Because they're not operating in good faith, and you never know if they're even going to give you what they say they are, right? And it's wrong. What they're doing is wrong. Well, Pelosi and Schumer were trying their best terrorist impersonation here when it comes to legislation. And Trump said, nah, sorry, not going to do it. So he went with the pen on a phone. Pen on a phone. There you go. And here you go. The Democrat calculation all along was that Trump would have to say, okay, fine, I'll sign anything. We're going into election. I'll give you whatever you want. We just got to get those unemployment payments up and running again. And, let's look at the different executive orders that he had. Because he said no. She said, I'm going to do it myself, pen and a phone style. So the president deferred payroll tax for Americans earning less than $104,000 a year through December 31st. He is 100% able to do this legally. He's not abusing authority. He's not usurping authority. He's allowed to do this. Congress had already deferred the employer portion, but Trump is allowed to defer himself the employee 6.2% employee share. Now, that's the deferred tax. That's not a canceled tax. So there will have to be legislation in 2021 or else people are going to owe that money back. But at least in the meantime, they have more cash on hand. Trump is now going to make this an issue for election. There's going to be hey, the money that you've got, do you want to keep it or not? Vote Trump. But this is completely legal, and it's a good idea. It's getting money to people who need it because Democrats won't do it. They won't do it. And they're also making a completely false, nonsense claim that this is going to put Social Security and Medicare at risk. They want Medicare for all, and they're going to lecture us about putting Medicare at risk by deferring a tax for a few months. Unserious stuff. The executive order extends relief on rental and homeowner evictions and interest on student loans. Completely, this is within the executive branch ability. So there's no problem here. This is just the president doing what he's allowed to do. Now, the one that's getting everyone really fired up, including some conservatives who always do, I'm so principled. We're in a political fight, but I'm here to talk to you about the principles at stake. Well, right. We can know what the principles are, but we also can know that sometimes there's a political fight underway where the other side has abandoned a principle, but you're going to hold yourself to it? Oh, that's interesting. That's a nice unilateral surrender mechanism. So there's $44 billion that FEMA has for the disaster relief fund, and Trump is using that to give $300 plus 100 if states will match it of extra unemployment benefit. So there's an argument here, COVID-19, it is a national emergency, so it falls under FEMA, but there's a power of the purse component of this here. And let's just be very clear. What Obama did with his executive order, and the media all went along with it, was far worse, far more egregious. And now we have to understand, are we going to have a presidency where Democrats have certain powers and Republicans don't? We've already started to see that with the DACA ruling from the Supreme Court. Obama can say under executive discretion, prosecutorial discretion, we're going to give people DACA and also give work permits. We're going to give people work permits just because. No act of Congress. But Trump can't say, no, we're going to stop DACA. We're going to stop this plan that Obama did because of it's capricious. On the Administrative Procedures Act, they're saying it's capricious. This is a joke. This is a lawyer's trick that libs want something and they're going to get it. So that's the part of this that's getting the most, negative blowback, including Ben Sasse, all conservative principle guy. Yeah, right. Just give it time, folks. He's going to be an MSNBC contributor. Mark my words. Ben Sasse, MSNBC contributor. Give it some time. You have the Democrats here understanding the real outrage for them is that Trump has slipped out of the trap. They thought they had Trump cornered, and he's found a way around it. Because now, what's Pelosi's option? Oh, we're going to take Trump's executive order to court to stop people from getting unemployment benefits. Oh, what are the optics of that? How does that look for Nancy Pelosi? Doesn't look very good. Doesn't look like it at all. Yeah, that's right. Good for Trump. His executive orders are the right move. Democrats want to put the country first. They want to take necessary action to protect people who are in a really bad spot right now. They can do it. They're just not going to do it while holding hostages and making demands of Trump. I can't believe we're losing our home that we didn't even sell. That's what Deborah said when she learned she was the victim of home title theft, which is a crime that can actually cost you your home. Here's how it works. The bad guys find your information online. It's not that difficult. Then they forge your signature stating you sold your home to them. You often won't even find out about this until the eviction notice arrives. Protect yourself today with Home Title Lock. Home Title Lock can create a virtual barrier around your home's title. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BUCK for 30 free days of protection. You can also find out if you're already a victim of this crime. The normal identity theft services you're familiar with don't protect you. You need the specialists in this one area, and that's Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use promo code BUCK. Again, 30 days of free protection. Plus, you can find out if you're already a victim. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BUCK.
Given the stalemate in Congress, do you understand the President taking executive action?
It's not a stalemate in Congress. It's that our Republican friends refused to meet in the middle. We said, we'll meet you right in the middle. And they said, no, we want it our way or no way. I said what I said about the executive orders.
Schumer's very upset because he's been outmaneuvered. Oh, Schumer, very sad. Oh. And meet us right in the middle. Yeah, you know what? If I went into a deli and I ordered a ham sandwich, and the guy said, hey, buddy, it'll be $1,000. And I said, whoa, that's a lot for a ham sandwich. And he's like, why don't you meet me in the middle? Why don't you meet me in the middle? Well, because $500 is still a lot for a ham sandwich. Schumer and Pelosi wanted a $3.5 trillion spend. Oh, yeah, meet us in the middle. So it's only going to be a little over, 2.2 trillion. Call it that. Right? 1.7 trillion. Call it that. Whatever. I mean, what's going to meet him in the middle of that? Of 3.5 trillion? You come up a trillion, we'll go down a trillion. That's what they were saying. Yeah, so, okay, fine. $1,000 for a ham sandwich is too much. Give me $500. Why are you being so unreasonable, they say. Gee, I wonder.
And then there's Pelosi who's like, it's not even gonna work.
Play 23.
Well, let's just say that the $600, many economists tell us, I didn't even see that on their part, many economists tell us that that has kept many, many millions of people out of poverty, A. B, what they put on the floor of the House Senate last week was $200.
Okay, so you have
$200,
600, they have 200. What about 400? I mean, that seems like a pretty clear compromise.
What the president proposed yesterday at his country club, surrounded by his people who must spend thousands of dollars to join, is something that won't even work. He's talking about, well, I'll put up 400 and the states will put up 100.
Right, he's talking about executive action, which is questionable. I'm talking about doing it the right way.
I'm saying that what he put forth is not even workable.
Is clownish Pelosi there playing the, oh, he's so rich? Is she playing the class warfare card there against Trump? Because Pelosi lives in a mansion in San Francisco, an actual straight-up mansion. Like, if she doesn't have a whole staff wearing, butler and maid uniforms, I'd be a little surprised. But
the president is at his country club doing the things that he does.
Yeah. She's mad not because it won't work. She's mad because this will work. That is the real problem that Nancy Pelosi has with Trump's executive orders, which is a reminder to all of you that ultimately her biggest concern is how does this look for Democrats, not what about all the people who are suffering, which is classic Democrat. This is exactly the truth of their position all the time. They pretend to care about the poor, but really they care about nothing but themselves. Is football going to get canceled? Well, we know there's at least some cancellations that have happened. Big Ten football has been canceled this fall. No games for the 2020 season. Producer Mark, you there, buddy? What is going on here? Tell me about the college situation with football, and then we'll get into the NFL. Is this all finished?
Well, I mean, college and the NFL are apples and oranges. I mean, in college, you've got 360 teams, something like that, of varying levels. You have the really good teams like the Alabama and the teams that play on a much lower level, and the athletes don't get paid. So how are you going to force athletes to take a risk in some of their minds to play football when some of their classmates may not even be back in school and they're not being compensated, but the schools still make millions and millions and millions, and a lot of people get rich off of them playing. And so how do you force them to play? In the NFL, there's only 32 teams, and they're all getting paid, and they have the option to play or not to play. So it's apples and oranges, college compared to the pro football landscape. I don't think college is going to end up playing. I think the Big Ten is the first one to fall. I think all the other Power 5 schools, Power 5 conferences will end up not playing because of the Big Ten. It'll just be kind of like a domino effect. And a lot of the smaller conferences like the MAC have already said they will not play, and they're going to try and play in the spring.
Okay, so it looks like this is, and yeah, we'll separate the college from the NFL side of it, but just so I'm clear on where these things stand, the college side, is Big Ten the best college football conference or one of them?
No, the SEC would be the biggest. That's
SEC
where Alabama, Florida, the bigger teams are.
But Big Ten is, I'm just trying to avoid saying it's big, but I mean it's good, right?
Yeah, Big Ten has Michigan, Ohio State. They are one of the power. There's 5 big conferences that the ones you'll see on TV every week. Yes.
You think SEC is going to go as well?
I think at some point, if all of the bigger conferences start falling, you have no choice because who's the SEC going to play?
Right. So, and I got to figure, if they're going to get rid of the top football, programs this fall at the college level, the Division II and Division III stuff will follow. Not that anyone really watches that stuff particularly, but that's going to fall away too.
Oh yeah, and most of the lower level D1 stuff has stopped already.
I just don't understand. Is the fear? Why can't they? I haven't been following this one as closely as all these other things. Why can't they just do what they've been doing with some other sports where they play but without fans? I mean, are they worried about COVID for the players on the field?
I think it's more of not every school is going back to in person. So that's one part of it. So how are you going to justify having the student athletes on campus, but not all the other students? And you can't put college football in a bubble. There's too many players or too many teams. Whereas the NHL and the NBA, it's working right now because they're not traveling. And like Major League Baseball is having a lot of trouble because they are traveling and the players are not being smart. They're going to casinos, they're going out to bars, and the virus is spreading throughout the teams. That's the big problem the NFL is going to face if they don't figure out some sort of a bubble situation.
You got 66 NFL players have opted out over virus concerns here, according to the Communist News Network of CNN. Where are we with the NFL right now? I mean, is there definitely going to be an NFL season? I'm seeing they might even play some games on Saturday because college football won't be dominating that space.
Yeah, that's a possibility, and that could generate even bigger ratings for the NFL. They do that late in the season. They have some Saturday games in the playoffs when college is on their lull before the bowl games. There were no huge players. There was no big-time quarterback that came out and opted out of the season. So I think the NFL is going to play. It's just a matter of will all the players be compliant? Because if you have one guy in football, one guy on a team can wipe out 2 teams during a game just because it's a close contact sport. It's not like some of the other, baseball you would think would be a lot easier because they could be spread out. Football, obviously, you're tackling every single down, so it's going to be different. It's just going to be, it's on the players, the coaches, anyone around those teams to be smart. Don't go out to a casino, don't go out to a club. There was one NBA player who went to an adult club for the chicken wings, he claimed, in Atlanta, and had to be quarantined back in the bubble. So if everyone is smart, I think the NFL will play, but that's a big if. There's 53 players on every team, and there's 32 teams. So you're expecting a lot out of every single person involved.
Are we also expecting that the players, they wear helmets, obviously, so one would think that maybe, are they going to be wearing masks if they play? Are they going to make them wear masks on the field?
I don't think they're going to make them. Like baseball has not mandated masks for anyone other than coaches and support staff, but some players have been wearing masks on the field, and I guess some players will. There is a way to put on like the front of it a football helmet. Hypothetically, you could put like maybe a piece of plastic or something. I guess that'll be a player's choice. I don't think the NFL is going to mandate anything like that.
So are you thinking you're thinking you are going to have producer Mark is going to have NFL games to watch this fall probably, as is everyone else watching and listening to this right now?
I think I'm optimistic that it will be NFL, not because of anything COVID related. I just think it's so much money that could be lost. I mean, the NFL is $1 billion industry. They're not going to not play.
And also, I would think that for a lot of these players, because I've actually watched some of that HBO series Hard Knocks. I find that very interesting. The backstory.
Yeah. One of my favorite shows every year.
Yeah, it's a great. Even for somebody who doesn't watch that much NFL, I watch some. It's a very interesting show. There are a lot of people that 1 year out of their career. I mean, that's peak earnings for them, especially if they're going to have a 3 or 4 year NFL career, which I believe is the average for a lot of these guys. So yes. a year of lost earnings. I don't know if they're paid. Are they guaranteed to pay? How does that work? Do we know?
They are not being paid, but their contract does not take a year off. So if you have 3 years left on your contract, you will still have 3 years left on your contract next season.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit better for them then, you would assume. But for anyone who's trying to make it onto the team this year, I mean, there's just a lot. I mean, clearly a lot of dislocation that's going to happen here if they don't end up playing. I also think, even though I get annoyed these days about all the wokeness in sports, I think we just need distractions and other things, because there's such a, I mean, this election is going to get more and more acrimonious and nasty and crazy, because what else are people going to do? I mean, there's only so much Bosch you can watch if you're me before you start looking at the news again.
Yeah, and that's why sports has been a nice distraction the last 3 weeks. I mean, my teams stink, but I've got NHL on all day. You've got baseball. You've got the NBA. So it has been a nice distraction to have it back. And it's been kind of like, I know you don't really watch March Madness, Buck, but you know how March Madness, the first couple of days, there's basketball all day, from noon, even earlier than that, until late at night. That's what hockey and basketball have been doing, because they're in bubbles. So they have to kind of space out the games. And it has been very fun, a nice little sense of normalcy back.
Has the level been? Have people been commenting that the level in the bubble of the players feels like it's similar to what it would be in previous years, or is everyone kind of, I don't know, lost a step?
I think I've been mostly watching the hockey. The first game or two, you could tell that there was a little slowness. They weren't back to what you expect. But as you keep getting more and more, I think after they played 2, 3, 4 games, it looks like hockey. In playoff hockey, there's nothing better, in my opinion. And the NBA has looked pretty similar as well. But in the NBA is a little different, where there's the best teams and the not-so-good teams. So the best teams can kind of mail it in and still win. And then they'll get to form once the deeper into the playoffs come.
So we'll see. We'll see, folks, if there is, in fact, a full NFL season. I can't imagine that anybody really believes that it's in the interest of. I mean, these players are all. Not only are they going to be people who are generally healthy and young, they're in incredible physical condition. I mean, the threat of COVID-19 for any NFL player. I mean, if you have a heart condition and are obese, I don't think you're on an NFL team usually. I mean, maybe some of the linemen might have some health concerns that I'm not aware of, but you would think that there would not be. These guys are all. I mean, I'm sure the average age in the NFL is probably about 25. So the likelihood of COVID being a real problem for any of them is very low. But the media panic has spread far and wide, friends. Very difficult to get people to not be afraid of something when they've had months and months of being told that it's like the bubonic plague or something. It's something that's going to just wipe out American society, when that's not true. It's serious, but it's not as bad as the media has led people to believe. But there's no way around it. No doubt the Black Lives Matter movement has created an anti-cop narrative that has led to greater violence in cities and problems in the urban areas of this country, as we've been discussing on the show. But this story from the Daily Mail, which, again, I got to tell you, British tabloids doing better journalism than 95%, 99% of American news media these days. It's crazy. I mean, what is it about, the Daily Mail is a better website for news than 9 out of 10 American news websites. And I know it's got, a lot of photos of people in bikinis and, oh, look, check out this guy who built an exploding whatever in his backyard and all this stuff. But they actually have real stories that are interesting and that are important. And here's an example. Remember Kim Foxx? Foxx, her last name. Kim Foxx. She was the prosecutor in the Jussie Smollett case who just shamelessly tried to make the whole thing go away. Not even to waive, prison time for Jussie or to just, to drop charges, but to drop charges and seal everything so nobody could see what evidence the state actually had. I mean, it was like the Jeffrey Epstein maneuver. Just make the whole thing go away, basically. Although Epstein did have to register as a sex offender and kind of go to a county lockup for a couple of months, but not really. I've got to tell you, there's a big problem happening in this country with prosecutors, with Democrat social justice prosecutors. And the more we dig into this, the more we're going to find. You have this prosecutor, for example, in Philadelphia, who is a really bad guy and is Soros funded, Soros supported, and Soros has been doing this. The Progressive Prosecutors Project is a real thing. These different Soros Foundation tentacles trying to support, because remember, a lot of places, the DA, the district attorney, is an elected position. So they're giving money to the most far left-wing lawyers who are going to be a DA possible, and then they get to the top of the prosecutorial food chain, so to speak, and they are bringing, or they're brought cases that they then make go away. They don't want to prosecute these cases. They don't want, or they give very bare minimum sentences. Here's this piece in the Daily Mail. Top Chicago prosecutor Kim Foxx's office has dismissed more than 25,000 felony cases, including murders, shootings, sexual assaults, and Jussie Smollett's hoax attack. 35% more than her predecessor. We are reverting back now in some places in this country to the bad old thinking about prosecuting crime. We shouldn't prosecute people because the justice system is racist. We shouldn't prosecute people because there is a historic inequality in America that leads to disparate outcomes in the justice system. We shouldn't prosecute. No. Every case has to be judged by its merits under the law. And every defendant is an individual. A defendant cannot be a part of a group or a historic this or that or anything else. But you're seeing this, and remember that the prosecutor in Philadelphia, his name is Larry. I'll remember it in a second. You're seeing this happen in more and more cities where there's a movement. Is it Larry Nassar? Is that right? I think that's right. You're seeing more and more people. Wait, no, that's not right. What's this guy's name in Philadelphia? Sorry, Larry Nassar. Pardon me. Larry Nassar is the guy who was molesting Krasner. Thank you, Prosecutor Larry Krasner. Pardon me. Whoops. Sorry, not Larry Nassar. Larry Krasner. He is the district attorney of Philadelphia, and he's letting out people that should go to prison for a long time for crimes, including crimes like murder and other things like that. He's just saying, well, we think it'd be better if we just let people out of prison. And, Kim Foxx's office, you're seeing this where there is a movement among prosecutors for the purposes of social justice, because they believe that the criminal justice system is racist, to punish people less severely as a means of ameliorating the injustices in the system. Right? I've talked to you before about the disproportionate impact of murder laws on men. Men are 90+%, 99%, I think, of homicide perpetrators in this country. Does that mean, and I always ask you to really think this, does that mean that there is a hatred of men, because there's disproportionate impact on men, that the law should reflect, we got too many guys going to prison for murder because not enough women are going to prison for murder, so we're going to have to let some men out of prison for equality of the sexes? That mentality does exist among some prosecutors now. Well, the system is racist, so we need to balance out what's going on in the system by going easier on some people than on others for reasons of social justice. Puts more criminals on the street, puts more people out there who, remember, once you've had an interaction with the criminal justice system, if you're somebody who truly is acting in a predatory fashion against your fellow human beings, once you are somebody who has experienced the criminal justice system and gotten away with a really serious crime with very little negative ramification, do you think that that person is more or less likely to commit future crime? But the Progressive Prosecutor Project is part of the radical left's desires and designs to undermine American society. Right? This is where this revolutionary fervor we're seeing, whether it's in Portland or Chicago or New York or any number of places across the country. This is Austin, Texas, Denver. I mean, there are these riots and this madness all over the country. And you have to look at the way they're using the system now and undermining the system. They're claiming the system is rigged, but it is getting increasingly rigged in ways that they don't want you to know about.